Welcome, welcome. Yes, we are live. Welcome to the War on Wellness. I am your host, Penny McPherson, and today we're talking about it. We are talking about those darn food cravings. Yes, this is part 3 of the series, Those Darn Food Cravings. And it's okay if you've missed part 1 and part 2. You can go back to my YouTube channel at Plant-Based Penny, and you can catch up there in your spare. Don't go now, but in your spare time, you can catch up with it there. And so I want to welcome my Instagrammers. Instagram is coming. And I want to welcome those who are on my Facebook personal page. Let me know if you're in the Facebook group as well, and on my Facebook business page. So, yes, everywhere. Plant-Based Penny is everywhere, empowering you with food education and knowledge to help you look, live, and feel well. And so today we are in part 3, and part 3 is definitely going to help you because just like part 1 and part 2, I'm going to be dropping some nuggets to help you move from problems to progress. And so I have a question for you. Now, we're talking about part 3, which is eat emotional eating. Some people may call it emotional eating, but I call it eat emotional eating because that's what it's all about. Eat emotional eating. And so before we even get started, I wanted to ask you the question. Put in the comments, what is either your comfort food or a comfort food? Put that in the comments, and we will be right back after this word from our sponsor. Welcome back to the War on Wellness. And tonight we are talking about eat emotional eating. And so thank you for joining me. We have Janice, Pamela, Lisa, we have Tanya, Corinne is in the room. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube or on Instagram. Happy to have you here. Yes, come on in the room because we are going to talk about it and talk about it. We are tonight. And so, eat emotional eating. So, do you sometimes I think that the Lord has some things happen to you so that you can help someone else. And so I have experienced eat emotional eating. As a matter of fact, it doesn't go away. We just learn to control it so that we are not consumed by eat emotional eating. Can I get an amen? So I mentioned before for you to put in the comments what is a comfort food. So, what is a comfort food for you? And so, yeah, okay. We got macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese will do. That will do. And we have peanuts, nuts. Yes, nuts can be good. And we have someone else saying candy. Candy is a comfort food. Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are a comfort food. Chips. Yes, another comfort food. All those are good answers for what is a comfort food. And so the eat emotional eating could be a comfort food and it could be just a food. So it's really interesting how our minds and our stomach is connected, and how our mind and our gut is definitely connected. And so food is not just about nourishing our body, although it probably should be about mainly about nourishing our body. It's not just about that for us as humans. We're 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 not infallible, and so food is often entwined with our emotions. So we're going to unravel the psychological aspects of food addiction and explore the mindfulness aspects of food addiction. And mindfulness is going to be a powerful tool to help us with the emotional eating that we do. And really, I really want my plant based penny family to be able to break free from the emotional eating, because that emotional eating, I know for me, it leads down a path that does not lead to betterment. It does not help me live an abundant life. And I want for you to be able to be all that you can be in this life that we have, this one life that we have here on this earth. And in order to do that, it is helpful to be as healthy as possible and to break free from that emotional eating. So, picture this, okay? Picture this. You had a really tough day, a really rough day, and all of a sudden, just not even thinking about it, you are reaching into some sort of container for that familiar comfort food. Well, okay, it may not be a container, it may be a bowl, or it may be a pan, or it may be some sort of soda or some sort of sugary drink. So you find yourself reaching for that comfort food. And so our relationship with food goes beyond just the mere sustenance that we can have for it to sustain us. It's influenced by our emotions, our experiences, and even societal norms. It's influenced by a myriad of things. So let's delve into the psychological aspect of food addiction. And it really is a psychological aspect of that, because we are not alone. We don't separate our body and then separate our mind, and then we separate our spirit. No, we are all one, and it is intricately intertwined. And so you've reached for this, whatever this item is, and a lot of times it happens, and it happens in a mindless way, and that's important to realize. So, but I want to point out this statistic here also, that the studies have been done, and 75% of overeating is triggered by emotions. So emotions such as stress or external clues, or rather than hunger. So 75% of overeating, and that's when we're eating beyond where we're satiated, eating beyond where we're satisfied, eating when we're not even hungry. 75% of that is triggered by emotions. And so the brain is this like complex orchestra that we have in our brain or in our bodies. And so certain foods, they trigger a release of happy hormones. So the neurotransmitters, they trigger the dopamine or the serotonin in our bodies, and that creates a temporary sense of pleasure and comfort, and we just feel good because we had whatever it is that we had, that was that emotional trigger food. And that is how overeating starts, because we feel good for that moment, and then we go back for more and more because it's a fleeting moment, And so that period of time of that spike in those neurotransmitter, the dopamine or serotonin, that when it's gone, then we want that feeling back again. And so then we go back for it. Just like someone who's addicted to for substance abuse, there is a high that is created when they inject or snort or drink or consume, however they consume that substance that gives them that high. And then what happens with our emotional eating is that we go back for that high again, and it leads to a cycle, because then we need, just like the drug abuser or substance abuser or an addict, we go back and we need a little bit more sometimes. I think we might need a little bit more, or we might need it more often, or we want it later, uh, later in the evening, or at times when it's just not the best time for us to be eating, or we get up in the middle of the night and we eating it. Hey, I'm talking about myself. I've been there. I am not pointing any fingers. So, when they say you point one finger at someone else, you got the rest of the fingers or the other fingers pointing back at you. So, hey, I've been there, and somebody probably doesn't want to put it in the comments, but if I am not alone, you can put "you are not alone" in the comments. So this fleeting moment leads to a cycle of seeking the emotional solace that's found in food, and seeking that cycle repeatedly over and over and over again. So let's shift our focus to mindfulness. Mindfulness. And I'm getting a question over on Instagram. I want to make sure that you are hearing me here. So let me just double check that, make sure that it's going there. Okay. It says that it is. So we'll ask you to check your equipment where you are. Okay, we're shifting our mind to mindfulness. And so, really, mindfulness, it is so very key, because it's really practical for us to be mindful. And so, what is mindful mean? There is, my husband says multitasking is overrated. I don't know if he's the origin of that phrase, but he has said that. But multitasking is overrated, because we need to be able to focus on what it is that we're doing and to stay in that moment. And so that's one way I like to be able to describe mindfulness. Is being able to stay in the moment of what it is that we're doing. So if we're eating, to be able to stay in that moment, to even realize that we're eating. So it's a powerful practice that can help reshape our relationship with food. So mindful eating isn't about restriction. It's not about fasting. It's not about not eating. It's about being present with every bite. Present with every bite. And so one thing that I had to start doing was I had to practice putting down the fork. Put the fork down is what I had to do in my brain. Put the fork down. And what is that? That is in between the bites, practicing putting my fork down. Now, I haven't done it in between every last bite. I know there's some sort of etiquette coach out there somewhere who would say that, I need to get better. And yes, I am plant-based Penny, not perfect-based Penny. So, hey, I'm a work in progress. So the one technique is savor every bite. And so I call that putting the fork down. Take a moment before eating and look at your food, the textures, the colors, smell the food, the aromatherapy of the food, and chewing slowly the food. One of my listeners, I think it was Pam last week, said that about chewing the food, and we should chew our food. We're supposed to chew our food at least 30 times. when we chew our food. And so that's really going to help break down the food. And that's also going to help with the gas that some people experience when you just like swallowing and you're just like gulping the food. So take a moment and be mindful of what it is that's in front of you, your textures, your aroma, the colors, and chew slowly. Chew your food and chew it slowly. So don't just swallow the food, chew, masticate your food until it is completely broken up in your mouth, because you're chewing. This is where digestion starts. It doesn't start down in your gut and in your intestines, in your stomach, or even your esophagus. There is a process, and it starts right here in our mouth. So this simple act can help shift our mindset from mindless eating to mindful eating. All right. So I want you to practice that. And I really want to know how that works out for you also. So you're going to take the food, you're going to taste it, you're going to smell it, and you're going to notice the sensations in your mouth. Notice the texture as you're eating. It's a beautiful way to bring awareness to our eating habits. So mindfulness is really going to be key. So let's tackle the emotional triggers, shall we? Emotional triggers. So mindfulness helps us to become aware of our emotions without judgment. Without judgment, we want to become aware. And when you feel the urge to eat emotionally, pause and ask yourself, what am I truly feeling right now? Acknowledge the emotions without rushing to your comfort food. So for me, I know a lot of times when I get tired, sometimes I will think that means that I need to get something to eat. I mean, I'm just being transparent right here, y'all. I mean, I'm plant-based Penny, not perfect-based Penny. Let me just put that in there. And so acknowledge your emotion. Stress is another reason that sends me to get something to eat. So if something stresses me, and then I am reaching for something because it is a comfort exercise that we've learned from, when we were babies crying, we're stressed, we're upset, and then we get food that calms us down. For some of us, that's how it worked out. So there's some emotional triggers that we have to recognize without judgment. Just ask yourself, what am I truly feeling right now? And then you can also create a mindful eating journal. And so write down what your feelings are. So instead of going reaching for the food, reach for your journal. Reach for your journal, and if you've already eaten, then you would write down what you ate, how it made you feel. And over time, you can look and you can see patterns emerge when you're making empowering choices and mindful choices. So to wrap it up, I want to share with you that you understand that the psychological aspects of food addiction, we have to understand that there are psychological aspects to food addiction. So embrace mindfulness and break free of emotional eating. Embrace the mindfulness, paying attention to what it is that we're eating, making sure that we masticate it completely before we swallow it, chew it completely before you swallow it. And remember to break free of the emotions that are attached to eating. So, according to studies, 75% of overeating is triggered by emotions, family. 75%. That's a huge percentage. And so, those emotions, whether they're for you, it might be for me, stress and being tired or other emotional cues, is it really true hunger? So, I mean, we're on a journey right here at Plant Based Penny. And so, whether you're following me on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, subscribe there. It's a journey of self discovery. And don't forget to be compassionate with yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. This is why you're here on Wednesdays for my War on Wellness broadcast, so that you can become empowered to move from your problem to your progress. And so, in our next step, our part no, see, this is part three. Part four is going to be building sustainable habits, a plant-based approach. So we're going to have the plan on next week when we talk about part four of those darn food cravings. And remember, I am speaking on a panel for Leading Ladies RVA in Richmond, Virginia on January the 28th, and I will be on the 3 o'clock p.m. panel there. So come back. It actually was sold out last week, but they've opened it back up to sell about 25 or 50 more tickets. So come by. It's from 12 to 5, the entire event on January the 28th. And I will be there at the 3 p.m. panel. Actually, I'll be there all of the time. I look forward to seeing you there. If you're in the area, I am available for speaking engagements and one-on-one free consultations for individuals. So thank you for joining me on this mindful journey. We're talking about those darn food cravings, and we just unpacked eating, EATmotional Eating. And thank you. And we will, guess what? See you next week, because we'll be right back here again. Thank you, Brenda, for joining. Thank you, Carolyn, as well. Thank you, Samantha. Wonderful to see all of you. Lady, thanks for being here. And I will leave you with our word from our sponsor, and we'll see you next week. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.